Ladies and gentlemen, I can't be perfect, but I can be brave enough to begin. I won't always know the way, but I can take the next step anyway. I won't be for everyone, but I can love myself enough that it doesn't shake me. Not every chapter will end the way I anticipated, but I can carry the lesson forward stronger than before. I'll lose people that I love, but I can honor them by living a life they'd be proud of. I will stumble, I'll fall, I will break, but I can rebuild with stronger hands and a wiser heart. I'll be misunderstood, but I can speak my truth anyway. There'll be chapters I'd rather not read aloud, but they're still mine and I own every word. There will be dreams that drift away, but new ones will rise with the dawn. Not every road will lead to glory, but every step shapes who I become. Not every plan will unfold perfectly, but each detour will reveal exactly what I need. Sometimes the night will feel long, but I can be the spark that brings morning. Sometimes doubt will scream, but I can whisper back, I'm still here. I can't promise forever, but I can give this moment all I have. I cannot control the winds, but I can adjust my sails and carry on. Because life was never about perfection. It's about presence. It's about meaning. It's about dancing even when the song isn't clear. So I will love loudly, fall gracefully, rise boldly, and choose again and again and again to live fully. And when it's all said and done, when the curtain falls and the lights dim, let them say that I lived with heart, that I didn't run from the storm, that I stood up and attacked its center, that I became the thunder. This is an ode to life, not because it's easy, not because every step made sense, but because it's mine, because I chose to keep going when I could have turned back, because I learned to find meaning even in the cracks and the chaos. Because I dared to show up imperfect, uncertain, but unbreakable. This life, with its twists, its turns, its storms, and its stars, is mine. Every scar, every triumph, every whisper of hope has culminated into this single moment, this beautiful life. And I won't let it slip away. I can't be sorry. See, I used to carry guilt like armor, apologizing for the way I grew, the things I outgrew, for the people who left when I stopped dimming my light. I can't be sorry anymore. I can't be sorry for those I lost along the way, not because I didn't care I did, but because I finally started caring about myself. I can't be sorry for old conversations, rooms that echoed but never truly heard me, friendships built on a version of me that's long dead. I can't be sorry for choosing peace over approval, stillness over chaos, truth over comfort. Believe me, it's a mistake I've made. I tried to explain, to even shrink. I've twisted myself into 1,000 shapes just to make sure no one around me felt uncomfortable, to make sure the externalities were aligned. But I've learned that the people who truly love you, well, they don't need you to vanish to accept you. And I'm not angry, I'm not bitter, there's no resentment, I'm just not sorry. I'm not sorry for the evolution that took place. I'm not sorry for dreaming bigger. I'm not sorry for asking more of myself and my life. And if that makes me hard to figure out or understand, then so be it, because I can't apologize for becoming someone I'm proud of. I can't apologize for the silence I now protect like gold. I can't apologize for walking away from anything that required me to be less than whole. See, growth is messy. It leaves behind fragments. It burns bridges that were only ever meant to take you part of the way. And still, I move forward, carrying no hate, but simultaneously no shame, because I can't be sorry. Not anymore. And if that makes the world uncomfortable, that's okay. Because for the first time in a long time, I'm truly here, and for that, I can't be sorry. Sometimes life is exactly what we want it to be. Things feel like they're happening. Momentum seems to open every door. Opportunity waits around each corner with open arms. Man, those times are great, but this is not one of those times, not at all. What I want to do is explore the moments in between, the instances of solitude and quiet, the periods of tension that exist between heartbeats, because in those silent deserts we don't just endure. We discover something truly profound. Me, I've spent plenty of time wandering through the deserts of life. I can even make the argument, both literally and metaphorically, that it's where I find myself now, where the great unknown pleads with you to trust it, whispering confirmation that it will lead you to answers so long as you lock your eyes on the horizon and keep your feet moving. But just like the sand acts as a blanket covering everything below, the rocks, the plants, the cacti, you are leaving only the shape of who you once were, an outline, a reference point, trading the certainty of what's known for the danger, the uncertainty, the risk of a world undiscovered. See, out here amidst the deserts of life, through the mirage of safety, you discover that the thing you need most, well, it's never complicated. This reminder is both profound and simple. It pulls you in and demands that you remember you have everything you need to emerge from this chaos. And should you choose to push through, you will be better for it. Over and over and over again, the deserts of life make me into the man I am supposed to be, not because they reveal the world to me, but because they reveal me to myself. They remind me of the world within, the internal strength, the resolve, perhaps not to know, but certainly to move forward when I don't. It is through the deserts of life that you find your oasis. It is the very nothing you wander through now that becomes everything. And so, maybe, just maybe, this is the reminder you need. Maybe life feels desolate. Maybe there aren't any answers. Maybe the missing validation invokes fear, and the pressure to return to worlds you left behind grows stronger. Well, let this be life telling you that these aren't skippable moments, that you will, amidst this very trudging through the dunes of nothingness, find yourself again, a deeper, more meaningful, powerful version of yourself. This desert points a mirror back at you for a reason. The adversity is not here to break you. It's here to remind you how strong you've always been. It's here to show you that not only will you endure, but the deserts of life will shape you into the person you were always meant to be. This is a story about doing that thing in your soul that you know you're called to do. There's a quote by Carl Jung. He says, "You meet your destiny on the road you take to avoid it." The first time I heard that, I paused, not because it was poetic, but because, just like when anything meaningful hits you, it feels personal, like it was written for me, describing chapters of my life that I hadn't quite closed. Here's a little pretext. You know about the way I once looked at the world. I used to think life could be out-maneuvered, that if I planned enough or calculated enough, if I stayed sharp enough, I could avoid the chaos. I could dodge pain. If I planned just right, I'd be able to skip all the hard parts. I used to think discipline and direction meant full control, but in so many contexts, they just bring about delay. Because what I feared never seemed to vanish when I ran from it. It would simply wait, it would follow, and eventually it would reintroduce itself, not necessarily as a punishment, but as a mirror of sorts, calling for reflection. And here's the thing, we don't get to negotiate with the path. We either walk it or get dragged through it, because it always finds us. That's what destiny does. Now, don't mistake that for powerlessness. This doesn't imply that you don't have a say. In fact, you have more control than you can even imagine. The question is not whether the road exists, it does. The choice is in how you choose to meet it. You can lean in with open eyes and steady feet, or you can resist, delay, deny, until life, in its relentless wisdom, brings you back around. One path is painful, the other still hard, but builds you right. One is friction, the other is fire, transforming you into something more. Destiny doesn't punish you, it just refuses to let you stay small. There's a story within a story here. When I was in the corporate world, you know, I talk about the value that I got from that time in my life. I was fresh out of college, full of ambition. I was obsessed with the next title. I thought that success was about rising fast, about being seen, the role, the status, the corner office. And there was at the time a VP that I worked under, and she used to tell me, "Eddie, I see you being exceptional in learning and development. You have a gift for helping people understand, see value, helping them grow." And at the time, I just did not want to hear it. I was so reluctant to agree, dismissed it, not because I didn't respect her. She was a superstar of a human being, but because I had tunnel vision, learning and development that sounded soft, it sounded slow. I wanted to manage to lead, to move widgets and metrics and oversee a region of the country. Who cares about personal growth, which, fate got the last laugh there. I ran, at least to the extent that I could eventually left the industry. And wouldn't you know it, years later, building my own brand, leading a team of amazing people who, we all have the same mission of helping people grow and make the most of their lives. It's kind of what she suggested. My skill set and value add was exactly that, and I knew it, because it felt good when I did it. I enjoyed it. But the ego said, no, you need to be managing the Northwest Division, managing operations. It's not where I was meant to be. I was meant to help people grow and teach and build and inspire. I didn't choose that path back then, but it chose me, and maybe it chose me before birth. Eventually, I found the courage to circle back to it. Just like Jung said, I met my destiny on the road I took to avoid it. That resistance, that detour, as you can imagine, it wasn't just my story, it's everyone's story. There's a pattern in every great myth, every story of transformation. It's called the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell mapped it out, and the hero begins in a very ordinary world, safe, predictable, familiar. He's incentivized by the things that most people in his world are incentivized by. His limitations are certainly worldly. Then comes the call to adventure, a challenge, a whisper, a truth that you can't ignore. But what happens next? Well, almost every time the hero refuses the call. For those Star Wars fans out there, Luke Skywalker, he didn't want to leave home. As a farmer on Tatooine, he wasn't ready to face the evil empire. He doubted himself. He resisted. He wanted more of what he knew. And the story of Jonah is similar. Someone mentioned this to me the other day. I don't know how many times Luke Skywalker and the story of Jonah are used in the same example, but first for everything. God asks him to go to Nineveh, to speak, to change hearts. He says no. He gets in a ship and goes in the other direction. But fate didn't take kindly to shortcuts. A storm came, the ship shook, and Jonah, amidst all this, was thrown overboard. He was swallowed whole by a great fish, alone in darkness, nowhere left to run, and that's where he met his truth. That's where he surrendered to his life's purpose, his mission. That's where the journey for him truly began. See, destiny does not ask us if we're ready. It simply arrives, and when we resist, we often find ourselves in the belly of our own fear, until we realize the only way out, as Robert Frost suggests, is through. Jonah eventually got it, Luke Skywalker eventually got it, and eventually so do we, because the refusal doesn't stop the story, it merely delays a transformation. Your transformation, and the Stoics, they knew this as well. They spoke on it, wrote about it all the time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Seneca said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." More or less, for the sake of our conversation, meaning, you can run. You can hide behind logic, busyness, perfectionism. But destiny is not looking for your comfort. It's waiting for your commitment. To step into that purpose, into that person you've known your whole life has been there, waiting to be unveiled to the world. I look back now and laugh at how hard I tried to outpace my own purpose. But I needed to learn that avoidance doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you small. It keeps you playing in someone else's game, a spectator in someone else's arena, instead of thriving and becoming a superstar in your own, adding more value to the world and those around you than you can imagine. Your destiny, it's a lot of things, but it's never small. So I ask you, what have you been avoiding? What's the path that quietly calls your name? The one that feels right but maybe demands of you a little more right now than you're willing to give? The one that you say maybe later to every time the thought arises because it's waiting, and maybe it's not supposed to be easy. Maybe you're never going to feel ready. Maybe that discomfort is the signal, not a stop sign, but a sign to go. And embracing that is how you win. It's how you find peace, not by dodging the road, but trusting it. Because when you finally step into that discomfort, when you answer the call you've been avoiding, you don't just find your destiny, you become it. You weren't put here to live in the shadows of life, to exist beyond the sun's grasp, to stay on the outside looking in. No, you weren't put here to live in the shadows of life. It's important to remember the difference between now and forever, the distinction between today and tomorrow. Because from time to time, they look deceptively similar, especially when we inevitably find ourselves in the darkest of times, when, despite our best efforts, our world is reduced to shadows, void of hope. When tomorrow and today have merged into one endless entity, it always seems to be in these times that we forget that right now is just a moment, not an assigned permanent, but a bridge to something great. As Viktor Frankl says, if there is meaning in life at all, then there must be meaning in suffering. We all suffer, we all hurt, we all go through periods of time where we can't see or hear or feel anything beyond the darkness we find ourselves in. But it's there. Darkness cannot be defined without light. It's in the definition. Darkness is a partial or total absence of light. They need each other, darkness and light. The one thing that can bring darkness to its knees is out there everywhere, all around it. And if there was ever a reason to be hopeful, enthusiastic, if there's ever a reason to believe, it's that a new life is always a light switch away. It's that darkness is as temporary as the day. And the antidote requires only that you believe it to be true, only that you find the resolve to reach 1 foot out, to remind yourself of the sun's warmth and the infinite beauty of a world beyond this temporary darkness. Because you weren't put here to live in the shadows of life, but to re-emerge like a rocket through the Earth's stratosphere. To swing from star to star like life is a playground, and you make the rules. And I think when we look back, we'll be nothing but grateful for those times of darkness. They, in a sense, prepared us for the road ahead by giving us what we need most: perspective, life lessons, a roadmap to follow. Because you don't appreciate the light, the sun, the clear blue skies, the wind on your face, the sound of the waves, the chirping of the birds. No, you don't see the beauty in any of that until, even if for a moment, it is taken away. You don't learn about life's abundance until you come face to face with scarcity. You don't learn to give until you've had your world taken away. You don't learn to love until you've experienced heartbreak. You don't learn courage until you've been overcome by fear. You don't learn to grow until you've been truly stuck. You don't learn to believe until you've looked in the mirror and doubt peers back. You don't know who you are until you learn what you're not. See, everyone finds themselves having wandered into the dark, sometimes of their own volition, sometimes of fate. But like leaves changing color in the fall, the earth on its journey around the sun, a wave emerging and falling back into that which it came, it is not an end, but a beginning. Life's way of preparing us for what's to come, introducing us to the infinite possibility of tomorrow. Because you weren't put here to live in the shadows of life, but to emerge from them, to light up the world. No, you weren't put here to live in the shadows of life,